The morning sun filtered through the kitchen window, casting a warm glow over the clutter of breakfast dishes. I stood at the sink, scrubbing a stubborn pot, my mind wandering to the day ahead. My husband had left early for work, as usual, his brief kiss on my cheek barely registering in my thoughts. The house felt empty, echoing with silence that had become all too familiar. As I rinsed off the last dish, I couldn't shake the feeling of isolation that wrapped around me like a heavy blanket. My husband was often consumed by his job, leaving little room for us to connect. I missed the days when we would talk about our dreams over coffee or share laughter in the evenings. Now, those moments felt like distant memories. After finishing the dishes, I wandered into the living room and stumbled upon an old journal tucked away on a shelf. Dust danced in the sunlight as I pulled it out and flipped through its pages filled with youthful hopes and dreams. The words transported me back to a time when life seemed vibrant and full of possibilities. I recalled my first love, carefree summer nights spent under starlit skies, and friendships that felt unbreakable. As nostalgia washed over me, I decided to take a walk to clear my head. The small town of Oregon was alive with activity. Farmers were setting up their stalls at the local market just down the street. The smell of fresh produce and baked goods wafted through the air as I strolled past colorful tents filled with artisanal crafts and homemade treats. I paused at a booth selling lavender sachets and smiled at the vendor who greeted me warmly. We exchanged pleasantries while I admired her handmade creations, but my heart wasn't in it. The laughter of families nearby only deepened my sense of longing. Just as I turned to leave, I spotted my stepson across the street at a cafe, a place we often visited together during his teenage years. He was engrossed in his phone but looked up just as our eyes met. A flicker of surprise crossed his face before he waved me over. "Hey. Fancy seeing you here," he said with an easy smile that reminded me of simpler times. I joined him at his table, feeling an unexpected flutter in my chest as we talked about mundane things, the weather, upcoming community events, but beneath our light conversation lay an unspoken tension that neither of us acknowledged. "How's everything going?" he asked casually. "Busy," I replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. "You know how it is." He nodded knowingly, sensing perhaps more than I let on. We shared a few more moments before silence settled between us like an old friend, comfortable yet charged with something deeper. "I could use some help with my back," he said suddenly, breaking the quietness that enveloped us. I blinked in surprise at his suggestion but felt an odd thrill rush through me at this innocent request for connection. "A massage?" "Yeah," he chuckled lightly. "It's been tense lately with work and everything." For reasons beyond comprehension, something stirred within me, a yearning for intimacy that had long been absent from my life. Maybe I could help, slipped from my lips before I could think it through. The moment hung between us like fragile glass ready to shatter under pressure. It was just a massage, yet it felt like stepping onto a tightrope stretched high above uncertainty. We finished our drinks and parted ways outside the cafe with an unspoken agreement lingering in the air. Something was shifting between us. Later that evening, while preparing dinner alone in our quiet home, thoughts of our encounter replayed in my mind like a haunting melody. Would asking him for a simple massage cross some invisible line? Guilt tugged at me as shadows lengthened across the kitchen floor. As night fell and darkness enveloped our home, I found myself restless on the couch scrolling through old photos on my phone, images capturing happier times filled with laughter and love shared with family and friends alike. Yet there were no recent pictures to remind me of joyful moments spent with my husband, only snapshots from years past stared back at me like ghosts from another life. The clock ticked relentlessly as if mocking me for allowing myself to feel so lonely when there were people who cared about me, yet they were always just out of reach. Finally succumbing to impulse rather than reason, I sent him a text, "Could you come over tomorrow? Maybe we could talk." His quick reply sent butterflies swirling in my stomach, "Sure. What's up?" The next day dawned bright and clear as anticipation thrummed within me like electricity coursing through wires ready to spark something new yet terrifyingly unpredictable. When he arrived later that afternoon, there was an undeniable shift in energy between us, a blend of familiarity laced with burgeoning curiosity about what lay ahead. We settled into comfortable chairs on opposite sides of the living room while discussing mundane topics until finally landing on what had brought him here today, the offer of helping relieve stress through touch. "Are you sure you want to do this?" he asked cautiously after some time had passed since arriving. Uncertainty flickered behind his eyes even though they held warmth too familiar now after yesterday's encounter. "Yes," came out stronger than expected even though doubt lingered nearby waiting patiently for its chance to creep back into focus once again. Doubt about crossing boundaries or risking everything by allowing ourselves this momentary escape from reality where loneliness faded away into fleeting connection instead. With careful movements guided by instinct rather than thought itself guiding each action forward towards another uncertain path ahead where consequences lingered just beyond reach, it began simply enough. Hands meeting skin beneath gentle pressure coaxing muscles into relaxation while memories flowed freely once more bringing forth echoes from long ago mixed together seamlessly creating new ones intertwined along this delicate balance we walked together now, teetering ever closer towards unknown depths waiting patiently below readying themselves should we slip too far beyond safe shores. And then it happened. A moment suspended between breaths when lips brushed together softly igniting sparks previously dormant within both hearts caught unaware by their own desires unfolding before them. The warmth of his hands lingered on my skin, a gentle reminder of the connection I had longed for. As he worked through the knots in my shoulders, I tried to push aside the nagging thoughts that swirled in my mind. What was I doing? This was my stepson, and yet here we were, crossing lines I had never imagined we would approach. "Does that feel better?" he asked, his voice low and soothing. I nodded, unable to form words. The tension from my marriage seemed to melt away under his touch, leaving behind a strange mix of comfort and confusion. Each stroke of his fingers sent ripples through my emotions, stirring memories of intimacy I once shared with my husband. Memories that felt distant now, like a faded photograph tucked away in an old drawer. The room was filled with silence, save for the soft sounds of our breathing and the distant chirping of birds outside. It felt as if time had paused just for us. The air thickened with unspoken words and feelings that hung between us like a fragile thread ready to snap at any moment. "Do you remember that time we went camping?" He broke the silence suddenly, pulling me back into shared memories. I smiled at the recollection, a trip filled with laughter, late-night stories around the campfire, and a closeness I hadn't felt in years. "Yes," I replied softly. "We had such fun." "I miss those days," he said quietly, his hands pausing momentarily on my back before resuming their work. His words struck a chord within me. It was not just nostalgia but a yearning for connection that resonated deeply. As he continued to massage away the tension in my muscles, I felt an overwhelming urge to reach out beyond what was familiar and safe. Would you mind if I ask for another favor?" The question slipped from my lips before I could think it through. "What do you need?" The vulnerability in his tone made it harder to breathe. "Could you stay for a little while longer? Just until I feel more relaxed?" He hesitated for a moment before agreeing. "Sure." As he resumed his movements, something shifted within me, a spark ignited by our shared vulnerability. The boundaries blurred further as we exchanged stories about our lives since that camping trip, laughter mingled with sighs as we reminisced about simpler times when life felt less complicated. But then there was an unexpected shift in the atmosphere, an electric charge that made my heart race. It happened so quickly, one moment we were sharing stories and laughter, and the next, our eyes locked in an intensity that spoke volumes beyond words. Without thinking, driven by an impulse that defied reason or consequence, our lips met. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, but it quickly deepened as if we both needed this connection more than anything else in that moment. A rush of emotions surged through me, desire intertwined with guilt and longing mingled with fear. I pulled back abruptly as reality crashed down around us like a wave breaking against the shore. What did we just do? My voice trembled slightly as confusion washed over me. I don't know, he admitted quietly, looking equally bewildered yet intrigued by what had just transpired between us. The weight of our actions settled heavily on my chest. This wasn't just innocent affection anymore, it was something far more complex than either of us could have anticipated. We sat in silence for what felt like hours, both grappling with what had happened while trying to make sense of our emotions swirling around us like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind. There was no denying the connection forming between us. It pulsed beneath the surface like an uncharted current threatening to pull us under if we weren't careful. I should go, he finally said after what seemed like an eternity. Yes, I replied softly but found myself wishing he wouldn't leave so soon. As he stood up to gather himself together again, the air between us still charged, I couldn't shake off how different everything felt now compared to just moments ago when innocence lingered around us like a protective veil shielding against reality's harshness. Can we talk again? The words came out before I could stop them. Desperation seeped into my tone despite how much I tried to mask it behind casual indifference. Of course, he said slowly as if weighing each word carefully before responding, a hint of uncertainty lacing his voice now too. With one last glance over his shoulder, his eyes holding mine longer than they should have, he left the room quietly closing the door behind him with a soft click that echoed through me like a finality neither one of us truly wanted but couldn't escape anymore either way. In those moments alone afterwards, surrounded only by shadows flickering across walls painted pale blue from fading daylight filtering through curtains drawn tightly closed against prying eyes outside, I wrestled internally between guilt and longing while replaying every detail from earlier. How warmth spread across skin where fingertips lingered too long. How laughter turned sweetly serious when stories morphed into confessions whispered softly into ears attuned only towards each other's hearts. Beating wildly beneath layers built up over years spent apart yet inexplicably connected still somehow. This fragile balance we walked now teetered dangerously close towards unknown depths waiting patiently below readying themselves should we slip too far beyond safe shores. What had begun as simple comfort transformed into something deeper, a bond forged from shared loneliness, and yet all around me lurked consequences waiting patiently just beyond reach eager to remind me how precarious this path truly was. The weight of our unspoken connection lingered in the air, thick and palpable. I could hardly shake the feeling that we had crossed a line, one that should have remained untouched. Yet, the warmth of his presence next to me felt like a balm for my aching heart, soothing the loneliness that had taken root in my marriage. I glanced at him, and for a moment, it felt as if we were the only two people in the world. "Do you remember when we used to go camping?" he asked suddenly, breaking the silence. His voice was soft and inviting, drawing me into a memory I had nearly forgotten. "Yeah," I replied, allowing myself to be swept away by nostalgia. Those trips were special. The evenings spent around a crackling fire, sharing stories under a canopy of stars came flooding back. "We should do something like that again," he suggested tentatively. The idea hung between us like a fragile thread, one that could snap at any moment under the strain of reality. "Maybe," I said noncommittally. The thought sent a shiver down my spine, both thrilling and terrifying. As we continued to talk about our past adventures, laughter bubbled up between us, creating an intimacy that felt both comforting and alarming. Each shared story chipped away at the walls I had built around myself. It was easier to connect with him than anyone else in my life. Yet guilt gnawed at me from within. What would people say if they knew? What would my husband think? I brushed these thoughts aside as we reminisced about simpler times, before life got complicated. In that moment of vulnerability, I leaned closer to him, drawn by an invisible force that seemed to pull us together against all reason. Our lips met softly, a fleeting brush that sent shockwaves through me. It was unexpected yet familiar, igniting something deep within that had long been dormant. "What was that?" he whispered, his breath mingling with mine. "I don't know," I admitted honestly, feeling both exhilarated and terrified by what had just transpired between us. He looked at me with wide eyes filled with uncertainty. "We shouldn't." "No," I interrupted gently but firmly. "But it's hard not to feel this way." The truth hung heavy in the air between us. The emotional bond we were forming was undeniable. I could sense our connection deepening with each passing moment, a shared loneliness morphing into something more profound than either of us anticipated. Yet every laugh and every lingering glance came with an undercurrent of fear of judgment and fear of losing everything familiar. "Let's not think about it right now," he suggested hesitantly, as if trying to protect both of us from what lay ahead. I nodded but couldn't shake the feeling that this moment would change everything for us, a line drawn in the sand where innocence faded into something more complicated. Days passed after our unexpected kiss, each one filled with tension and uncertainty as we navigated our daily lives under a facade of normalcy. My husband continued his routine as if nothing had changed while I wrestled with feelings I never intended to confront. Every time our paths crossed, at family dinners or casual gatherings, I felt an electric charge in the air between us. It was as though everyone else faded into the background while we danced around this burgeoning connection fraught with unspoken words and hidden glances. One afternoon at a local farmer's market bustling with life and color, I spotted him browsing through artisanal goods just beyond reach, a beacon amidst a sea of familiar faces. My heart raced as I approached him cautiously. It felt like stepping onto shaky ground where anything could happen. "Hey there," he greeted warmly but subtly scanned our surroundings for prying eyes before leaning closer so only I could hear him speak. "Hi," I replied breathlessly, caught off guard by how easy it was to slip back into this comfortable rhythm we'd established amidst chaos. "I thought you might want some fresh produce," he said playfully while holding up a basket filled with vibrant tomatoes and fragrant herbs, simple offerings yet laden with meaning beneath their surface. I smiled despite myself. These small gestures reminded me how much he understood my needs without having to voice them aloud. As we walked side by side through rows of colorful stalls filled with fresh produce and handmade crafts, memories flooded back, the simple joys of life before everything became complicated by adult responsibilities and societal expectations. "I miss this," he confessed quietly after some time had passed between us, filled mostly by laughter rather than words. "Just being carefree." "Me too," I admitted softly as a pang of longing washed over me, the desire for connection mingling dangerously close to something more profound than friendship alone could provide. In those moments spent wandering through vibrant displays bursting with color and life, my heart raced not just from nostalgia but from an awareness of how easy it would be to lose ourselves completely within this delicate balance we were navigating together. But then reality crashed back down on me hard when thoughts invaded my mind once again. What would happen if anyone found out? Would they understand? Or would they judge? The fear gripped me tightly like an iron shackle, binding me in place while simultaneously urging me forward toward an uncertain future filled with possibilities both exhilarating yet terrifying all at once. We paused near a stall selling handmade candles infused with lavender scent wafting through warm summer air, a stark contrast against rising tensions swirling around us like storm clouds gathering on the horizon, waiting patiently for their chance to unleash chaos upon unsuspecting souls below. "I need some air," I blurted out suddenly, feeling suffocated beneath weighty expectations pressing down heavily upon my shoulders, threatening to crush everything beneath their relentless grip. He nodded understandingly but didn't move immediately, choosing just stand there watching me, carefully assessing whether or not today would mark another turning point along this precarious path we'd begun walking together. The festival buzzed with excitement, vibrant colors swirling around us as laughter echoed in the air. I had suggested we attend, hoping to escape the weight of our recent decisions. The local fair was a kaleidoscope of life, a distraction from the turmoil brewing within. Yet, amidst the joyous chaos, I felt an undercurrent of tension thrumming between us. As we wandered through the stalls brimming with handmade crafts and delicious treats, I could sense his presence beside me like a steady flame. I caught glimpses of him stealing glances my way, and each look ignited sparks of both warmth and anxiety within me. The thrill was intoxicating but laced with an undeniable fear of what lay ahead. "Do you want to try some of those?" he asked, pointing toward a booth selling freshly made kettle corn. My heart raced at the casualness of his tone. It felt like a game we were playing, one where the stakes were dangerously high. "Sure," I replied, forcing a lightness into my voice that didn't quite match my insides. As he handed me a small bag filled with popcorn, our fingers brushed briefly, a fleeting touch that sent electricity coursing through me. We found a bench near the edge of the festival grounds, where we could watch families enjoying their time together. Children dashed about with balloons in hand while couples strolled hand in hand, laughter spilling from their lips. I felt like an outsider observing this world. It was beautiful yet painfully distant. "I never thought we'd be here like this," he said quietly, breaking the comfortable silence that had enveloped us. His tone was contemplative, almost wistful. "Neither did I admitted. But it feels nice to be out, together." The words hung in the air between us, heavy with unspoken implications. He turned to face me fully then, his expression serious. "What are we doing?" His question pierced through the veil of festivity surrounding us. I swallowed hard, grappling with the truth that had been swirling in my mind since that first moment we crossed a line together. "I don't know," I confessed softly. "I just know that something is happening between us." His gaze held mine for what felt like an eternity before he nodded slowly as if coming to terms with something profound yet terrifying. "It's complicated." "Complicated doesn't even begin to cover it," I murmured back, feeling my heart thud against my ribcage as reality settled in once more. As night fell over the festival and twinkling lights illuminated our surroundings, an unexpected wave of courage washed over me. Maybe it was the festive atmosphere or perhaps just an urge to seize this moment before it slipped away entirely. "Let's get away from here," I suggested impulsively. "What do you mean?" He looked intrigued but wary. "Just away from all this." My hand gestured toward the bustling crowd behind us, the laughter fading into distant echoes as people began to leave for home. He hesitated for only a moment before nodding again and standing up beside me. We walked away from the fairgrounds without another word, our steps quickening as if we were escaping something far greater than just an evening event. The cool night air wrapped around us like a comforting blanket as we strolled through quiet streets lit by flickering street lamps casting gentle shadows on our path. The world felt hushed now. All that remained was the sound of our footsteps echoing against pavement and my racing heartbeats filling my ears. Eventually, we found ourselves outside a small cafe, one that had long closed for business but still exuded warmth from within its walls through large windows fogged by breath and laughter from patrons earlier in the day. "Do you want to go inside?" he asked hesitantly. "No," I replied quickly but then added more softly, "let's just sit here for a while." We settled onto a bench outside, the cafe's warmth barely reaching us, but it didn't matter. Being close to him was enough to ward off any chill creeping into my bones. "I've been thinking about everything," he started cautiously after several moments passed in silence between us. "Me too." My voice came out barely above a whisper as I leaned closer instinctively, our shoulders brushing against one another as if drawn together by some magnetic force beyond our control. "What do you want?" he asked suddenly, his eyes searching mine intently for answers neither of us fully understood yet demanded nonetheless. I took a deep breath, honesty flooded forth unbidden like an overflowing river threatening to burst its banks. "I want connection." The admission hung heavy between us, a truth laid bare beneath stars twinkling overhead, yet somehow felt liberating too despite its weightiness. His eyes softened at my words, they held understanding mixed with something deeper, a longing mirrored in my own heart that refused to be ignored any longer. "We shouldn't," he started again but faltered when our gazes locked once more. A silent agreement forged amidst uncertainty swirling around us like leaves caught in autumn winds outside this little cafe on such an ordinary night, transformed into anything but ordinary by our presence here together now. "I know," I interrupted gently but firmly enough for him to hear what lay beneath those three simple words: desire mingled with fear, an intoxicating cocktail neither could resist any longer despite knowing full well where it might lead them both. And so it happened? We spent hours talking beneath stars shining brightly overhead until time lost meaning altogether, while laughter echoed softly within hearts bound by secrets shared only between two souls navigating uncharted waters fraught with risk yet filled with promise too. As dawn approached, slowly illuminating everything anew around us, colors brightening once more, I couldn't shake off how different everything felt after spending these precious hours side by side without barriers separating who we truly were anymore. Yet lingering doubts still haunted me even amidst newfound clarity gained throughout this night spent together. It left lingering questions unanswered echoing relentlessly inside. Where do we go from here? What happens next? But perhaps most importantly, how would we reconcile what had begun unfolding tonight against all odds stacked against us? The morning after our night together, the weight of the world pressed down on me. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wrestling with the emotions swirling inside. The sunlight streamed through the window, casting a warm glow that felt almost mocking against my turmoil. I had crossed a line, and now the consequences loomed like dark clouds on the horizon. As I got up and prepared for the day, I couldn't shake off the feeling of dread. The thought of facing my husband hung over me like a storm cloud. He had been distant for so long, consumed by work, yet today he seemed different. There was an unusual brightness in his demeanor when he greeted me at breakfast. "Good morning," he said, pouring himself a cup of coffee. "I thought we could spend some time together today." His words caught me off guard. Was this his way of trying to reconnect? Or was it something else? I nodded, unable to find my voice. My heart raced as I considered how to navigate this unexpected shift in our dynamic while keeping my secret safe. After breakfast, we decided to visit the local farmers' market, a vibrant place filled with fresh produce and artisan goods that usually brought joy to my heart. As we walked through the stalls, I feigned interest in everything around us while my mind raced with thoughts of last night. "Look at these tomatoes," he said, holding up a perfectly ripe specimen. "We should make that pasta dish you love." "Sure," I replied absently, trying to focus on his words rather than what had happened between me and my stepson. But as we wandered through the market, I couldn't escape the feeling that eyes were upon us. A neighbor approached us with a friendly smile, but her gaze lingered too long on our intertwined hands. "I saw you at the festival last weekend," she said casually. "You both looked like you were having a great time." "Yes," I replied quickly, forcing a smile that felt more like a grimace. "It was lovely." Her expression shifted slightly as if she sensed something beneath our surface interactions. "You should come by for coffee sometime," she added before walking away. My heart sank as her words echoed in my mind. Did she see something? Did she suspect? The burden of secrecy weighed heavily on me as we continued through the market. Later that afternoon, while preparing dinner together in the kitchen, my husband's attentiveness intensified my internal struggle. He reached for ingredients with a tenderness that felt foreign yet comforting after so much distance between us. "Do you remember when we used to cook together like this?" he asked suddenly. I paused, memories flooding back, laughter shared over chopping vegetables and stolen kisses amidst simmering pots. But those moments felt distant now. They belonged to another time when connection flowed freely between us. "I do," I said softly, forcing myself to engage despite my conflicted feelings. As he spoke about recipes from his childhood, I found myself lost in thought again, wondering if it was possible to rekindle what had been lost or if it was too late for us. The doorbell rang unexpectedly, interrupting our moment. My heart raced again as I glanced at my husband before heading toward the door. It was him, my stepson, standing there with an easy smile that made my stomach twist in knots. "Hey. Just thought I'd drop by," he said casually, but there was an underlying tension in his voice that mirrored my own feelings. "Come in," I managed to say while shooting a glance back at my husband who seemed oblivious to any underlying currents between us. As he stepped inside, our eyes met briefly, a silent acknowledgement of everything we had shared and everything still unspoken hung heavily between us. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything," he said lightly, but his gaze flickered toward my husband before settling back on me. "No, not at all." My voice came out too bright, it felt forced even to me. "We were just cooking dinner." "Oh good. Smells amazing." He stepped further into the kitchen and began helping without waiting for an invitation, a casualness masking an undercurrent of tension we both felt acutely. As we cooked together, the three of us, I tried desperately to keep things light-hearted, but every shared laugh felt laced with unspoken tension. My stepson's presence ignited memories from last night that threatened to pull me under again as laughter echoed around us like ghosts from another life. Eventually, dinner was served and we gathered around the table, a picture-perfect family moment marred by secrets lurking just beneath the surface. Each bite tasted bittersweet. Food meant for sharing now felt heavy with implications unspoken and unresolved feelings simmering beneath polite conversation. "So what are your plans for this weekend?" My husband asked him innocently enough, but it struck me like a bolt from nowhere. What would happen if they spent time alone together? "I might head out hiking or something," he replied nonchalantly, but his eyes darted toward mine briefly before returning to his plate, a fleeting moment where everything hung suspended between us once more. After dinner wrapped up uneasily with forced smiles exchanged all around, the air thickening into silence, I found myself retreating into solitude once more, seeking clarity amidst chaos swirling within me like autumn leaves caught in turbulent winds outside our window. As night fell and darkness enveloped our small town outside, I sat alone contemplating choices made leading up until this point, pondering how precariously balanced everything had become since stepping into uncharted territory alongside him. The stepson who had become so much more than just family over these past few weeks, now entwined deeply within each facet of life surrounding me here at home, where safety once reigned supreme before doubt crept in uninvited, leaving uncertainty lingering behind. Every corner waiting patiently, ready to pounce when least expected. The phone buzzed beside me, breaking through thoughts spiraling outwards. It was a message from him, a simple text asking if we could talk soon about everything weighing on both our minds. Doubt crept deeper still as questions swirled. What did this mean? Was this worth risking everything? Would it be possible ever again after crossing lines drawn so carefully? In that moment, standing upon precipice teetering towards unknown futures ahead, I knew one thing: whatever decision awaited would change everything forevermore, leaving no room left untouched by consequences looming just beyond reach, waiting silently ready. The air was thick with unspoken tension as I walked into the community center. The annual potluck was in full swing, a colorful array of dishes spread across long tables, laughter echoing off the walls. Yet, I felt like an outsider looking in. My heart raced as I spotted him across the room, engaged in conversation with some friends. He looked relaxed, carefree even, and it only intensified the knot in my stomach. I hesitated at the entrance, clutching a dish I had prepared, a simple pasta salad. The familiar faces of neighbors and acquaintances greeted me with warm smiles, but their kindness felt like a weight pressing down on my chest. I was trapped between my past and this new reality that had begun to unfold. As I made my way through the crowd, I couldn't shake the feeling that everyone could sense something was off. An old friend approached me, her brow furrowing slightly as she studied my expression. "Are you all right?" she asked softly. "Just tired," I replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. She nodded but lingered a moment longer than necessary before moving on. My stepson caught my eye then. He was laughing at something someone had said, his gaze bright and inviting. The way he looked at me sent a shiver down my spine, an electric reminder of our shared moments that had grown increasingly complicated. I tried to focus on small talk with neighbors while stealing glances at him. Each time our eyes met, an unspoken understanding passed between us, an acknowledgement of what we had shared and what we were now trying to navigate amidst prying eyes. The atmosphere shifted when a familiar voice called out from behind me. "Hey! Long time no see." It was another old friend from high school, someone who had always been perceptive about emotions and relationships. "Hi." "Yes, it's been ages," I replied, forcing enthusiasm into my tone. As we chatted about mundane updates, jobs, kids, I could feel her gaze drifting toward where my stepson stood. Her smile faltered for just a moment before she masked it with casual chatter about her own family. "You look well," she continued, though there was an edge to her words that suggested she sensed something deeper beneath the surface. "Thanks," I said quickly, eager to shift the focus back to her life. "How's your daughter?" But as we spoke, my awareness of him grew unbearable. Every laugh he shared felt like a reminder of our secret connection, a bond forged in moments that were both innocent and fraught with complexity. Suddenly, he approached us with that easy grin plastered across his face. "Hey! What are you two talking about?" My heart raced as he leaned closer to me for just a second too long. It felt intimate among the chaos of the potluck. "Oh, just catching up on old times," I said lightly while trying not to let my voice tremble. "Sounds fun. Mind if I join?" His presence filled the space around us. It was impossible not to feel drawn in by his energy. Before I could respond, another neighbor interrupted us, a man who had always been overly friendly but whose attention felt invasive today. "You two should come over for dinner sometime soon. It's been too long since we've all gotten together." My breath caught in my throat at the suggestion. It would mean facing reality head-on, an invitation to blend our lives more closely than ever before while maintaining this delicate balance we had created. "I'd love that," my stepson replied enthusiastically before glancing at me for confirmation. "Sure," I managed to say despite feeling trapped by the weight of expectations looming over me like storm clouds ready to burst. As evening fell and people began to disperse from the potluck, I found myself standing beside him outside under twinkling fairy lights strung above us like stars fallen from the sky. The cool air wrapped around us as we stepped away from prying eyes into a quieter corner of the parking lot. "I didn't expect this evening would be so intense," he admitted softly as we leaned against his car parked nearby. "It's hard to keep up appearances," I said quietly, glancing around before meeting his gaze again. "Especially when everyone seems so interested in our lives." He chuckled lightly, but there was an edge of seriousness beneath it. "We can't let them dictate how we feel." His words sent warmth coursing through me, a reminder that amidst all this chaos lay an undeniable connection that drew us together even more tightly than before. "I know." My voice barely rose above a whisper as uncertainty washed over me again. What did this mean for us? For everything? Before either of us could delve deeper into those questions swirling in our minds, another neighbor approached unexpectedly, a couple who often hosted gatherings but whose presence now felt intrusive amid our fragile moment together. "We should get going," one of them said cheerfully while waving goodbye without noticing any tension lingering between us. As they walked away hand in hand into the night, a sense of urgency washed over me. I needed clarity about where this path might lead us both before it spiraled out of control completely beyond any hope of return. We exchanged nervous glances again. Unspoken thoughts hung heavily between us like thick fog rolling over hillsides cloaked in twilight shadows stretching far beyond sight's reach ahead. "I'll call you tomorrow," he suggested tentatively after what seemed like an eternity spent lost within each other's eyes searching for answers neither knew how to articulate yet still needed desperately somehow. Yes, please do. My heart raced anew as he stepped back reluctantly toward his car, leaving behind echoes of uncertainty mingling with possibility lingering still. As night enveloped everything around us, slowly fading into darkness punctuated by distant laughter echoing faintly through empty streets ahead, I couldn't shake feeling trapped between two worlds pulling taut against each other, threatening rupture at any moment now. As I stood there, the night deepening around me, I felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down. My heart raced with a mix of fear and anticipation. The laughter from the festival faded into the distance, replaced by a profound silence that echoed my internal turmoil. I turned to look at my stepson one last time, his figure illuminated momentarily by the streetlights before he slipped into his car. The family gathering loomed over me like a storm cloud. It was supposed to be a celebration, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that it would be a battleground for hidden tensions. Relatives would come together, but beneath the surface, unspoken words and resentments brewed. I had seen it before, families feigning unity while harboring secrets that could tear them apart. As I drove home, my mind raced through the events of the past weeks. The moments we shared felt both exhilarating and dangerous. Each encounter left me craving more yet filled with guilt that gnawed at my conscience. The thought of facing my husband, who had been trying so hard to reconnect with me lately, made my stomach churn. When I arrived home, the house was quiet. My husband was in bed already, he had an early meeting in the morning. I tiptoed around, trying not to disturb him as I prepared for bed myself. As I lay there in the dark, sleep eluded me completely. The shadows danced on the walls as memories flooded back, of laughter shared with family during happier times and of whispered conversations that now felt so distant. The next day dawned bright and clear, but it did little to lift my spirits. The farmer's market beckoned with its vibrant colors and enticing aromas. It was a Saturday ritual for me, a chance to escape into a world filled with fresh produce and artisanal goods while connecting with neighbors. I wandered through stalls, exchanging pleasantries with familiar faces while suppressing thoughts of what awaited me later at the gathering. A neighbor approached me with concern etched on her face. "Are you all right? You seem distracted," she said softly. I forced a smile, nodding as if everything was perfectly fine while internally battling waves of anxiety. "I'm just busy preparing for tonight," I replied lightly. Her gaze lingered on me for a moment longer than necessary before she moved on to browse nearby stalls. The encounter left me unsettled. It seemed everyone could sense something amiss within our family dynamics. Later that afternoon, as I prepared dishes for dinner, my husband entered the kitchen carrying flowers, a gesture so thoughtful yet bittersweet under the circumstances. "I thought these might brighten your day," he said with a warm smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Thank you," I replied, forcing enthusiasm into my voice while feeling hollow inside. We exchanged small talk about our week as he helped chop vegetables for our meal together later at the gathering. His efforts were genuine. He seemed determined to bridge whatever gap had formed between us over time. But just then, my phone buzzed on the countertop, a message from my stepson requesting another casual meetup after dinner tonight. My heart raced again at his words, "Can we talk?" Just us. The invitation sent shivers down my spine. Part of me yearned for this connection while another part screamed in protest against what it could mean for all of us involved. As evening approached and guests began arriving at our home for dinner before heading to the family gathering together afterward, tensions escalated further than expected when relatives began discussing upcoming plans, one being an opportunity for relocation due to work changes within our family business back east. "This could change everything," one relative remarked excitedly while others nodded along enthusiastically about new beginnings awaiting us all if we made this move happen soon enough. I stood there listening intently but felt detached from their excitement. Instead of joy coursing through me like before, There was only dread weighing heavily upon my chest, knowing what lay ahead tonight after everyone left. After dinner concluded amidst laughter echoing through our home once more, a facade carefully maintained, I excused myself under pretense needing fresh air outside where darkness enveloped everything except flickering lights illuminating pathways leading toward an uncertain future ahead. Stepping outside onto familiar ground felt surreal as memories flooded back once again, of moments spent laughing under stars shining brightly overhead during simpler times long gone by now. Then came another message from him, "Meet me at our spot?" My pulse quickened as anticipation surged again alongside guilt gnawing deeper still. How could something so innocent feel so wrong? I looked back inside where laughter continued echoing against walls filled with memories both cherished yet painful too, reminders of what once was versus what now hung precariously in balance threatening collapse any moment. Taking a deep breath filled with resolve mixed fear, I made my decision. Tonight would mark either an ending or beginning depending on choices made within shadows cast by uncertain futures looming ahead. Arriving at our spot, the secluded park bench tucked away behind tall trees, I felt both exhilarated and terrified waiting there alone under moonlight shining down illuminating everything around us like stars scattered across night sky above. Minutes passed until finally seeing him approach cautiously glancing around ensuring no one else lingered nearby before settling beside me quietly taking in atmosphere surrounding us both filled silence weighed heavy between two souls yearning desperately seeking connection despite risks involved. "What's going on?" he asked softly breaking tension thickened air surrounding us instantly making heart race anew feeling warmth radiating off him closer proximity igniting memories long buried beneath layers accumulated over years past since first meeting each other. "I don't know how much longer we can keep doing this," I admitted quietly glancing away feeling tears threatening spill forth unable contain emotions swirling inside battling against guilt once more threatening drown out clarity needed moving forward from here onward. His expression shifted slightly revealing vulnerability hidden beneath surface masking uncertainty mirrored mine reflecting back through eyes searching desperately seeking answers found nowhere else except within each other's presence alone. "Maybe we don't have to hide anymore," he suggested hesitantly breaking silence lingering between us both still filled uncertainty hanging heavy like fog enveloping everything around waiting patiently unravel secrets buried deep within hearts yearning desperately seeking solace found nowhere else except here right now together. But just then, the sound of footsteps approaching broke tension snapping focus away from each other instantly jolting reality crashing back down upon shoulders laden burdens far too great carry alone anymore. I turned quickly spotting silhouettes emerging through trees nearby casting shadows dancing across ground below revealing faces belonging familiar strangers gathered together heading toward direction where we sat silently intertwined moments shared fleetingly slipping away into darkness surrounding everything else hiding behind masks worn daily pretending nothing wrong existed anymore despite truth lurking just beneath surface waiting patiently ready expose itself when least expected. The laughter of familiar voices grew louder, weaving through the trees as they approached. I felt my heart race, a mix of exhilaration and dread. We had been lost in our own world, but now reality was crashing back in, pulling me away from the warmth of connection I had found. I glanced at my stepson, his expression shifting from contentment to concern as he sensed the impending arrival of the others. The shadows danced around us, and I could see the uncertainty in his eyes. "We should," he began, but I shook my head slightly, not wanting to break the fragile moment we shared. "Let's just stay here a little longer," I whispered, hoping to savor our last seconds together before the outside world intruded. But even as I said it, a knot formed in my stomach. The thrill of our secret felt dangerous now, especially with others so close. As they drew nearer, I recognized their faces, friends from the community gathering for a weekend outing. They were cheerful and carefree, blissfully unaware of the turmoil swirling beneath my surface. "Hey! There you are," one of them called out, waving enthusiastically. I forced a smile and stood up to greet them while my stepson remained seated. "We were just enjoying the view," I said lightly, trying to mask the tension that hung in the air like an uninvited guest. Looks like you were having a deep conversation, another friend teased with a knowing grin. You two always seem so close. I felt heat rise to my cheeks at their words. The implications hung heavy. They would never know how close we truly were or what had transpired between us. My heart raced again, not from excitement this time but from fear of exposure. My stepson finally stood up and joined me, his posture stiffening as he greeted our friends with forced cheerfulness. Yeah, just taking a break from everything, he replied, his voice lacking its usual warmth. The group began chatting about plans for dinner later that evening, a casual gathering that felt like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. You both should come. It'll be fun, one friend insisted. Sure, I replied automatically while stealing glances at my stepson. He looked uncertain but nodded along with me. As we walked back toward town together after bidding farewell to our friends, silence enveloped us again. The weight of unspoken words pressed heavily on my chest. It was becoming increasingly difficult to ignore what lay between us. I didn't mean for them to find us like that. He finally broke the silence as we strolled past quaint shops lining Main Street. It's getting harder to pretend. I know, I admitted softly, glancing at him sidelong. But it's not just pretending anymore, is it? He stopped walking and faced me fully under the flickering streetlight. What are we doing? This isn't just some fling. His voice trembled slightly, vulnerability seeped through his bravado. I took a deep breath. Clarity washed over me amid confusion and desire intertwined within every thought I had been wrestling with since this all began. I don't know how to define this, whatever it is. His gaze bore into mine, intense yet searching for answers neither of us could provide right now. What if someone finds out? What happens then? Then we deal with it. The words came out more forcefully than intended. Maybe there was an edge of defiance hidden beneath my uncertainty too. He looked away for a moment before meeting my eyes again. Something shifted between us then, a recognition that we both stood on precarious ground filled with choices leading down paths neither wanted but somehow found themselves wandering anyway. I can't keep sneaking around like this, he confessed quietly. Regret laced every syllable spoken aloud between us now hanging thickly in air around us both. I understand, I replied gently though part of me wished desperately for things to remain unchanged despite knowing deep down that change was inevitable, both exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Just then, a sudden realization struck me hard enough that it nearly knocked breath from lungs entirely. If we continued down this road without reckoning with truth soon enough, consequences loomed ahead waiting patiently ready strike when least expected catching everyone off guard completely unprepared for fallout ensuing thereafter. In that moment, a familiar figure emerged up ahead walking toward us along sidewalk path illuminated by soft glow cast down from streetlights overhead. My husband strolled casually appearing relaxed yet focused on something else entirely oblivious presence lurking nearby threatening everything fragile built until now. My heart sank as dread settled heavily within stomach twisting tightly into knots. How could fate be so cruel? He was supposed to be working late tonight. What do we do? My voice barely broke through air thickened by tension surrounding all involved moments before reality crashed down upon shoulders burdened already far too much carry alone anymore. We need to act normal, he murmured urgently glancing toward approaching figure while stepping closer attempting shield against scrutiny looming overhead threatening expose secrets hidden carefully behind masks worn daily pretending nothing wrong existed anymore despite truth lurking just beneath surface waiting patiently ready expose itself when least expected. But even as those words left his lips, I knew instinctively nothing would ever feel normal again after tonight. Not after everything shared nor choices made leading up until this point where crossroads lay ahead beckoning forth decisions demanding answers long overdue needing confrontations faced openly rather than shrouded within shadows cast dark across lives entwined fates. Forever altered, forever changed by choices made, seeking connection amid loneliness, yearning, desperately find solace. Somewhere safe amidst chaos surrounding everything else, hiding behind facades crafted carefully, maintaining illusions built upon foundations shaky at best, crumbling slowly under pressure, mounting steadily over time, pressing down upon hearts longing, desperately seek comfort found only fleetingly, moments shared together lost amidst chaos, swirling endlessly around all involved, leaving lingering questions unanswered, echoing through minds, hearts, souls alike, seeking resolution, clarity, understanding. Amidst tangled web woven intricately, binding lives together, forever altered, forever changed by choices made, seeking connection amid loneliness, yearning, desperately find solace. Somewhere safe amid chaos surrounding everything else, hiding behind facades crafted carefully, maintaining illusions built upon foundations shaky at best, crumbling slowly under pressure, mounting steadily over time, pressing down upon hearts longing, desperately seek comfort found only fleetingly, moments shared together lost amidst chaos, swirling endlessly around all involved, leaving lingering questions unanswered, echoing through minds, hearts, souls alike, seeking resolution, clarity, understanding. Amidst tangled web woven intricately, binding lives together, forever altered, forever changed by choices made, seeking connection amid loneliness, yearning, desperately find solace. Somewhere safe amid chaos surrounding everything else, hiding behind facades crafted carefully, maintaining illusions built upon foundations shaky at best, crumbling slowly under pressure, mounting steadily over time, pressing down upon hearts longing, desperately seek comfort found only fleetingly, moments shared together lost amidst chaos, swirling endlessly around all involved, leaving lingering questions unanswered, echoing through minds, hearts, souls alike, seeking resolution, clarity, understanding. Amidst tangled web woven intricately, binding lives together, forever altered, forever changed by choices made, seeking connection amid loneliness, yearning, desperately find solace. Somewhere safe amid chaos surrounding everything else, hiding behind facades crafted carefully, maintaining illusions built upon foundations shaky at best, crumbling slowly under pressure, mounting steadily over time, pressing down upon hearts longing, desperately seek comfort found only fleetingly, moments shared together lost amidst chaos, swirling endlessly around all involved, leaving lingering questions unanswered, echoing through minds, hearts, souls alike, seeking resolution, clarity, understanding. Amidst tangled web woven intricately, binding lives together, forever altered, forever changed by choices made, seeking connection amid loneliness, yearning, desperately find solace. Somewhere safe amid chaos surrounding everything else, hiding behind facades crafted carefully, maintaining illusions built upon foundations shaky at best, crumbling slowly under pressure, mounting steadily over time, pressing down upon hearts longing, desperately seek comfort found only fleetingly, moments shared together lost amidst chaos, swirling endlessly around all involved, leaving lingering questions unanswered, echoing through minds, hearts, souls alike, seeking resolution, clarity, understanding. Amidst tangled web woven intricately, binding lives together, forever altered, forever changed by choices made, seeking connection amid loneliness, yearning, desperately find solace. Somewhere safe amid chaos surrounding everything else, hiding behind facades crafted carefully, maintaining illusions built upon foundations shaky at best, crumbling slowly under pressure, mounting steadily over time, pressing down upon hearts longing, desperately seek comfort found only fleetingly, moments shared together lost amidst chaos, swirling endlessly around all involved, leaving lingering questions unanswered, echoing through minds, hearts, souls alike, seeking resolution, clarity, understanding. Amidst tangled web woven intricately, binding lives together, forever altered, forever changed by choices made, seeking connection amid loneliness, yearning, desperately find solace. Somewhere safe amid chaos surrounding everything else, hiding behind facades crafted carefully, maintaining illusions built upon foundations shaky at best, crumbling slowly under pressure, mounting steadily over time, pressing down upon hearts longing, desperately seek comfort found only fleetingly, moments shared together lost amidst chaos, swirling endlessly around all involved, leaving lingering questions unanswered, echoing through minds, hearts, souls alike, seeking resolution, clarity, understanding. Amidst tangled web woven intricately, binding lives together, forever altered, forever changed by choices made, seeking connection amid loneliness, yearning, desperately find solace. Somewhere safe amid chaos surrounding everything else, hiding behind facades crafted carefully, maintaining illusions built upon foundations shaky At best crumbling slowly under pressure, mounting steadily over time, pressing down upon hearts longing desperately seek comfort found, only fleetingly moments shared together, lost amidst chaos swirling endlessly around all involved. Leaving lingering questions unanswered, echoing through minds, hearts, souls alike, seeking resolution, clarity, understanding amidst tangled web woven, intricately binding lives together, forever altered, forever changed by choices made, seeking connection amid loneliness, yearning, desperately find solace somewhere safe amid chaos surrounding everything else, hiding behind facades crafted carefully, maintaining illusions built upon foundations shaky, at best crumbling slowly under pressure, mounting steadily over time, pressing down upon hearts longing desperately seek comfort found, only fleetingly moments shared together, lost amidst chaos swirling endlessly around all involved, leaving lingering questions unanswered, echoing through minds, hearts, souls alike, seeking resolution, clarity, understanding amidst tangled web woven, intricately binding lives together, forever altered, forever changed by choices made.